Hi, my name is Cody. I'm a software engineer here in San Francisco, and in this video series we are building an AI coding agent for the browser. We're building it from scratch and completely open source. You can think of it as like a recreation of LlamaBot, but we're just building the whole thing in public. And in this video, we've made enough progress that we just want to have a little bit of fun and just kind of see how far we can push this. So this isn't going to be going too in-depth from an agent engineering perspective. It's just going to be from a user perspective, kind of seeing that the simple thing that we've built is quite powerful, especially as you pair it with some of the latest models that are coming out, such as 04 and 04 Mini. So let's dive right into it. So this is our starting point. I'm just going to go ahead and do the classic example we've been working with. Please code this into a game of arcade snake. It's going to think, it's going to process. I'm going to pause it, let it stream back the HTML. Okay, it just finished its design and plan. Now it's going to start streaming. Let's go ahead and test this. Okay, there we go. We got our game of Snake. Very, very simple, very basic. We all played this game growing up. All right, let's see what else we can do. Now I'm going to tell it to please make this into a more advanced game with a 3D rendering first-person point of view of the snake, and add a mini-map to the top right of the game. To see it, add a mini-map in the top right of the game to see the original view of Arcade Snake. Okay, let's go ahead and send that in. Okay, so it gave us this view. Okay, so you can see that we can control it with the arrow keys, kind of like similar in the top right corner. We have like the snake game. One thing is I think being in dark mode makes it kind of hard to see, so let's actually make a change here. Let's say please change this so that the background is white instead of black, and also add a grid so that we can see the floor of the snake. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let this run for a minute, and I'll okay, there we go. So looks like it followed our instructions here. The grid is much larger now. Look at that. You can make it, you can move around just like this. Okay, cool. So we're making progress on this. Let's see how much farther we can push this. One thing that might be cool is what if we made a little twist on this? What if we made mice be on the board that could run around that you could maybe eat for your score? So let's go ahead and try that out. So I'm going to say, please make this, please add please add little 3D mice that scramble around the board that you can eat to increase your score. Make them look like mice with a nice mouse shape rather than just a generic block. Alright, let's see what this comes up with. Alright, that just finished. Yeah, those are pretty big mice. Almost scary. Okay, but look, you can eat them and then your score increases. So you chase them around. Okay, not bad. Let's make them a little bit smaller. Let's say please make the mice a little bit smaller. Make them brown as well. Please make the mice smaller. Make them brown as well. And make them orientate / face the direction that they're moving in. Okay, let's go ahead and try that. Okay, it's streaming back here. All right, let's see what it came up with. Okay. Okay, nice. So the problem is you can notice the mice aren't actually orienting the direction that they're moving in. So that's a little bit. Oh, you know what it is? It's doing it on the mini map, but not the 3D world. So we just need to tell it to specify. Oh, look at that! You can see your own tell too. That's kind of a fun little quirk. There we go. Okay, let's ask it to say please make the mice orientate around. Orientate and face the direction they're moving in the 3D world. Also, add some additional colors on the mice rather than just uniformly brown. Maybe add some pink ears, face, eyes, black eyes, etc. Pink tail. Make it look like a real mouse. Alright, let's see what this comes up with. It's always kind of fun to just look at the game plan, make a sketch of how I'd update to give it the proper orientation, two-tone, pink coloring, da-da-da. Kind of fun. It would be nice to format this a little bit nicer so it's easier to read though, rather than just a big block of text. But, alright, let's see what it comes up with. Alright, let's see what it does. Oh, look at that. Okay, it is orientating them a little bit better. That one, look at that one. Where was he? Oh, see, that one's oriented perfect. Okay. Another thing that's a little confusing is like how jerky the movement is. And the other thing too that you can't see off camera is that I'm having to use the arrow keys up, down, left, right as if it was the original arcade game Snake. So it's actually not the first person point of view where if I hit the left arrow key it turns me left from the first person point of view. It's only doing it from the direction on the minimap. So it's a little bit of a flaw. It's kind of confusing when you're first trying the game. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it to do two things. First is I'm going to ask it to allow me to have arrow keys that move it from the first person point of view based on the orientation. Maybe we'll retain the ability to move it from the minimap using like WASD. So that'll be our first message. And then the second message is I'm actually going to ask it to make the transition a little bit smoother so it's not so jerky. I guess the one thing that's a little tricky though is it's a grid, right? It's like so if you're orientating a certain direction, of course it's going to snap. So maybe we even take it off of this grid idea. Maybe we make it a much more fluid, it's not just you're moving one direction, X, Y direction. Maybe you have it where it's like you can orientate to different degrees, like in a little bit of a smoother way. Let's go ahead and just try the first one though and see where that takes us, and then we can try the second one. So in here I'm going to say, please change the arrow keys to change the snake's direction based on its first person point of view. Rather than the original arcade Snake inputs. For example, if I want to turn left, I should hit the left arrow key and it will change my direction based on left relative to the direction I'm facing in 3D space. Okay? Then I'll say retain the ability to change direction based on the minimap orientation, original arcade Snake, by using WASD. Okay, let's go ahead and send that in. Okay, it did just finish. Sometimes it will get a little bit stuck, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit this refresh button. Okay, it just finished. Let's go ahead and hit start. There we go, perfect. So now if I'm hitting the right arrow key, it'll go me in circles like this. Let's try WASD. Yeah, and that works perfect as well. Perfect. Okay, so now let's go ahead and see if we can change the, let's see if we can change the smoothness factor where it's not jerking around so much. Now this is going to fundamentally, this is a pretty big rewrite because it's going to fundamentally change the entire game how it works. Right now it's working on like an XY kind of grid where you can just move in one direction. And so it's probably have to rewrite quite a bit of the JavaScript, and so things might break, right? It's a little bit of a bigger rewrite. Let's just try it though and see what happens. So let's say, okay, so let's go ahead and say, I don't like it when it jerks the camera around super abruptly. It's disorienting from first person point of view. Please change this. Please rewrite the code so that it will smoothly change the snake's direction, and it's not just a clear X, Y direction orientation. Make it a smooth, continuous ability to change orientation and direction and angle of the snake so that it's a smoother experience for the first person view. Alright, let's just see if it understands what I'm saying here. One thing too is just in general, anytime you're working with these types of systems, the prompt that you send in is very important to be hyper specific. Now this design and plan step does help you out a little bit because it will actually be more specific than you are on your original prompt, and that's a huge benefit. But definitely a big cause of hallucinations and errors when working with LLMs is not being hyper specific enough. and the large language model will have to make assumptions, and then sometimes those assumptions are wrong, and then you get that kind of weird inconsistency, unreliable behavior. In the future, we'll probably add in some nodes where it can ask you a clarifying question if it needs to. You see agents like Deep Research from OpenAI doing things like this, where before it kicks off, a 10-minute deep search and deep writing exercise, it will ask the user some clarifying questions to try to ground it and make it a little bit more accurate, right? Before it runs off for 10 minutes and does something that maybe it misunderstood. So anyways, just a little bit of an explanation there. We'll see if our current basic implementation is able to handle a more complex use case like this. Okay, it just barely refreshed. It was let me refresh it so you can see okay, look at that. See how it zooms in? It's kind of fun. Let's go ahead and click start. Oh, look at that. That is way smoother. Holy cow. That is way smoother. I mean, that's pretty good. It did that in one attempt. And one thing to keep in mind is that this is a very, very basic agent, right? Like, we have not even gone that deep into what we need to do. I think one of the messages and main takeaways from this project and this kind of series in general is I want to emphasize just how good the large language models are. With just, how many prompts is this? 1, 2, 3, 4 prompts. We're able to build something increasingly complex, such as this game of Snake. And this just wasn't possible a year ago, right? Even 6 months ago. And I think, like, for example, the coding or the large language model that we're using for this is O4 Mini. And we're also just barely getting started. If you listen to the top AI researchers and builders in the space, people from OpenAI, people from Google DeepMind, they are all predicting that the large language models, these foundational models, are actually going to get better. I heard one from a Google DeepMind researcher just this last week, where he basically told the audience, expect these models to get 10 times more intelligent. And he also said that's not that far away. It's plausible that we might have 10 times more intelligent models in the next year. So it's a really fun time to just be kind of building and be paying attention to this space. And I'm hoping that this demonstration can kind of show how far you can get just with the large language models as they continue to advance. And I'm hoping that this project too can be something that you can pull down, run it locally, so that you can kind of have the fun experience that all of us get to have. Even if you're not a programmer, a traditional programming background, what this technology is enabling is that anybody can really build pretty sophisticated and cool things. You don't have to be a programmer to build this game of 3D Snake using a tool like LlamaBot.